Good morning, everybody. We're starting early this morning because I'll be going soon to Medal Day for the FDNY. We are going to celebrate heroes, extraordinary firefighters, paramedics, EMTs who did amazing things to save lives and help New Yorkers in the year 2020, the toughest year we've all been through. So it's going to be a day of celebration and appreciation for people who do so much for us. But in the meantime, we got a lot to cover, and I'll tell you something. There is no stopping the FDNY, and there's no stopping New York. We have seen it time and time again in our history, but especially in the last year. New Yorkers fight back, we get back up, we keep moving forward. There's no stopping New York. So today, I'm going to give you proof of just how amazing the efforts of New Yorkers are and how much, when we decide we're going to make a change, we really make a change. Today, here's an example of a record we've broken, and this is great for our environment, for stopping climate change, for a healthier city, for a less congested city, for a greener city. More and more people are turning to bikes, and that's fantastic. And in May, we had a record, and it was broken, as is great news. In the month of May 2021, 2,709,684 rides were taken on City Bike. I was one of those. There's your evidence on the screen. And this is amazing that more and more people are turning to City Bike as an option. This is good for this city. And what a good way to ride into the summer of New York City. You're going to see people out on their bikes enjoying this city like never before as we come back strong. There's going to be a bike boom all over this city. And to make sure folks are safe, we are installing, I should say, 30 plus miles of protected bike lanes this year. So we're continuing to expand bike lanes all over the city. Now, last year was a record-breaking year for installation of bike lanes. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep encouraging folks to use city bikes and other alternatives. I want you to hear from someone who joined me on my ride from Gracie Mansion to City Hall. We had a great time that day. She is a leading urban transportation advocate and Lyft's general manager for City Bike. My pleasure to welcome Laura Fox. Let's see if she's out there.
Okay, so it sounds like everyone can hear me, so that's good.
Laura, you sound good. You sound good.
Okay, great, great. Thought that there was a technical problem on my end, but just wanted to thank you again for coming on the ride. And as you previewed, we broke just about every type of ridership record this past month. So that included the monthly record, weekly all-time record, and daily all-time record as well. In National Bike Month, no less, we broke that monthly record with that over 2.7 million trips, including the million e-bike rides. We love taking that trip with you. We know that you prefer classics over e-bikes. I prefer e-bikes myself. We can have that debate further in the future. We also broke a new single week record in the week of May 16th with over 750,000 folks riding bikes for commutes, leisure, and more to explore New York City as it reopens. And so we love seeing that bike boom come to life. And then we also set a single day record on May 15th of over 118,000 rides. And we've now surpassed our 2020 record of 103,000 rides 9 times since mid-May on both weekdays and weekends. And I love seeing over 100,000 people on bikes. There's nothing that wakes me up every day more excited to see the sustainable mode of transportation alive and well in our city. And we see a number of reasons for this success. I think first, we're in the middle of a $100 million investment from Lyft to expand all across New York City and have added thousands of new bikes and stations to the system already this year, including in the West Bronx, Inwood, Astoria, and Sunset Park, all communities that are underserved by traditional transit, and our bikes are providing New Yorkers in these areas with a fast and easy way to get to the train, run errands, and see friends. And as the system's popularity has grown, we've also worked to add additional docks at our most highly used stations. So that's in areas like Midtown and Fidei to really support commutes as people start going back to offices, and continue to work with the mayor's office and the Department of Transportation to identify this space and to really continue to grow the system. And then our e-bikes have really brought new users into the system. As I said, I'm a big fan. They help you go longer distances, climb hills, bridges without breaking a sweat. and get you to your destination faster. And I think we've seen e-bikes have over 10 rides per day in the last month. And then, as Mayor de Blasio said, I think, expansion of the bike lane network, we're grateful to the mayor's office and our partners at the Department of Transportation who are working to create a more protected bike lane system and space for bikes on streets. We know from research that it's one of the most impactful things you can do to get folks onto bikes across the city. So thank you for celebrating this great set of milestones with us. And we're looking forward to many more over the coming year, and hopefully some more bike rides together as well.
Amen. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. I appreciate all you are doing to encourage bike usage in this city. I love your enthusiasm for it. And let me tell you, classic is the way to go. So I'm gonna be sticking with my classic city bike. I'll see you out on the road. Our next stop is Ocean Parkway, Laura. That's coming up soon.
Great ride.
Ocean Parkway.
Down to Brighton Beach. It's beautiful.
Get ready. Get ready. All right. Thank you, Laura. Everyone, look, we're going to keep talking about it. There's no stopping New York. This is such an important time in our history, and New Yorkers are stepping up, setting records, doing new things, making things happen every day. To epitomize this, we've started a campaign to let people know that things are happening in the city. Time to get invested in this city, time to come back to the city if you're outside, time to make things happen in New York City. Our No Stopping New York effort epitomizes the energy of this city. We had a 60-second advertisement we showed you earlier. I want you to see now the 30-second version. You'll be seeing this message everywhere. It really captures the spirit of the city and why we are coming back and why everyone needs to be a part of this comeback. So I want you to see the 30-second version of this ad.
There's no stopping New York. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Here, we think bigger. We live louder. We create greater. There's no stopping us from building a stronger, healthier, fairer future for everyone. Because we're New Yorkers, and there's no stopping New York.
So that says it all, and there's just more and more evidence every day. Yesterday I told you the amazing news, the lowest positivity level for COVID since the crisis began. We also every single day keep seeing more and more vaccinations. The single most important thing in our recovery is getting people vaccinated. So as of today, 8,340,355 vaccinations. Now, all of these efforts, grassroots efforts, incentives, working with community-based organizations, it's all working. We have great incentives this week. As I said, we're giving away staycations here at great hotels in New York City. So you're going to have an opportunity, if you're getting newly vaccinated, you're making your first dose appointment, to win those prizes. You're going to see the vaccine buses and vans all around the city, making it real convenient. Remember, vaccination equals freedom. This is how we move forward. Now, we're going to create sites anywhere and everywhere that's going to draw people and get them involved. So a new site is going to be opening at the New York Aquarium to encourage kids to come over, parents to bring their kids. We'll have the Pfizer vaccine there for kids 12 years old and up. You can walk in and get the vaccine at the New York Aquarium, or you can schedule an appointment. And when you get your vaccination at the New York Aquarium, you get a ticket for a future visit. Just like at the Bronx Zoo, just like at the American Museum of Natural History. Parents are really responding to this. It is a joy to bring your kids someplace they love, get them vaccinated, know they're healthy, know they'll get to enjoy that wonderful location again. So this is a great, great opportunity if you want to schedule an appointment or find any site, whether it's New York Aquarium or any other site, 877-VAX4NYC, or visit vax4nyc.nyc.gov. Now, we in New York City have used such a variety of approaches to vaccination, and this is why we've been able to put up really substantial numbers, including at the grassroots. But now we have an incredible new opportunity because so many young people are qualifying. Now we've got hundreds of thousands more New Yorkers who can get vaccinated who couldn't just a month ago. So we now are really doubling down on focusing on young people, focusing on their parents, focusing on their pediatricians. What's interesting and positive so far is New York City is outpacing the nation at vaccinating our youngest people, and this is exciting. From the moment we got the announcement that 12 to 15-year-olds could get vaccinated, we saw a surge of interest. We saw parents bringing their kids out right away. Here's what we now know. For 12 through 17-year-olds, 118,000 New York kids have already been vaccinated in that 12 to 17 age range. 118,000, that's 23% of all the kids in that age range. That surpasses the national average of 22%. So we are doing something here that's working, and we want to build on it and go farther, especially in the neighborhoods hardest hit by COVID. We care deeply about reaching our young people in every way. So, starting on Friday, in certain schools, we're going to pilot something very exciting. We're going to start launching in-school vaccination sites. This is something I think is going to open up a world of possibilities. We're working with our health department, our Department of Education, with the UFT. We want to make schools a place where kids can get vaccinated. Now, for so many kids, of course, that has only been a recent possibility. So we're going to start this in certain schools around the 5 boroughs. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to get the most done we can between now and the end of school later this month. But it's going to be a way to reach a lot of young people quickly, and it's going to be a way to encourage parents to understand how incredible it is, what a great feeling it is to know your child is safe. So we'll start schools on Friday, expanding more over the days ahead. We will be in all 5 boroughs in schools, vaccinating kids, select locations, not everywhere yet, but select locations. And we really think this is going to help reach more and more young people and continue to keep New York City ahead of the national average for youth vaccination. I want you to hear about how important this is from someone who has been a leading voice throughout this crisis. I talk about all the things we need to do to reach New Yorkers and do it with equity. I want to introduce the chair of the City Council Committee on Health, Councilmember Mark Levine.
Thank you so much, Mayor de Blasio. I am thrilled about this announcement and really happy to be able to join you today. You know, we have to move to a new strategy now to take vaccination to people. And that's true for young folks as well. There are many families that are busy with work and family obligations, and they might not have time to travel to a vaccination site after school to get their young person vaccinated. But if we bring vaccination to them in their school buildings, well, that's a game change. And schools really are a great place to do this because they've already got records of how old kids are. They are very good at getting parental and guardian consent, and they have relationships and trust with families. So it's just a great venue to expand vaccination options for young people. And this really is a win for equity, taking this to schools where, in neighborhoods that have been hit hard by COVID and where we do need to increase the vaccination rate. So I am thrilled by this move. And I just want to encourage everybody, every family, every young person to get that vaccine. These are safe. They are effective. They have been tested on young people. The vaccination on age 12 plus is going great in New York City. So be part of this so that we can make our city even safer, so we can totally crush this pandemic ahead of school reopening in the fall. Again, I'm really thrilled about this announcement, Mr. Mayor. Congrats to you, the DOE, the Department of Health, and everyone for making it happen. And thanks for having me on today for this great news. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. And we are going to keep pressing on to reach farther and farther the grassroots, more and more equity. Thank you for your efforts in your community and beyond to support that. And now I want you to hear from someone who really understands this from a frontline perspective. He, for years, was a public school teacher. Understands how important it is to communicate with parents because he is a current public school parent himself on top of that. I've talked to him, he has a passion for education and reaching our young people and obviously for keeping them healthy and safe. He is also the newest member of the Bronx delegation in the City Council, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. This is really, really exciting. You know, a year ago today, I was sitting on a video call just like this with my virtual classroom, and we were all feeling what everyone in the city was feeling. We were scared. And the mental health toll this took on my students was incalculable, not to even mention the the physical toll. And, I had students, one of whom was living with his grandparents because his mother was a frontline worker and she was scared of bringing home the virus. I had a student living in a shelter whose mother didn't want him to leave because she was scared he would get COVID. For months, my students were dealing with this depression, but here we are today with a vaccine and the city's bustling and schools are opening up. And, we see students playing outside, even going on play dates inside people's homes, getting back into the classroom and bringing the vaccine to where it's needed is such a vital component of beating this virus. And importantly, to where there's trust. Families and children trust their teachers, they trust the administration, they trust their school staff. And for a lot of vaccine hesitant parents, this is an important step in ensuring the safety of our children and families and reopening for full-time in-person support. And especially in the Bronx, it's so important that this is being piloted in the Bronx, which has been really hardest hit by the virus and where the vaccination rates are so low. I would add that bringing the vaccine to our schools is just another reminder that schools are more than just places where kids sit in rows of desks, take out their number 2 pencils, and fill in some bubbles on the test. They really are part of our community and part of what brings us together as a community. And this vaccination effort into our schools is such an important part of that.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Thank you for all you did for this city as a teacher and now for what you're doing. And I can tell how much it's in your heart to be there for our kids. And thank you for spreading the word. I agree with you. Getting vaccination wherever kids are, whether it's the New York Aquarium or the Bronx Zoo or in the classroom, we're going to reach kids everywhere and make everyone much, much safer. Thank you very much, Councilmember. All right, now continuing on this theme, we are going to be doing a series of events all over New York City for New York City Youth Vaccination Week. So all of these pieces are going to allow us to keep focusing on young people because here's an area where we can make such a difference. We're going to have youth vaccination block parties in all 5 boroughs. We're going to be working with local organizations, lots of fun activities, lots of direct outreach. Department of Youth and Community Development is doing a great approach called the Barbershop Talk Series, going out into communities, going into barbershops, having conversations, beauty salons, talking directly to New Yorkers, talking to kids, talking to their parents. This direct approach makes all the difference. And no voice is more important to a parent. I can tell you this from my own experience. The voice you listen to the most when it comes to protecting your kids is your pediatrician. Here to talk about how important it is to get young people vaccinated, all the ways we're going about it. He is a pediatrician himself. He has served the city with tremendous energy during this crisis as Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Health, one of the people who's been at the front line fighting COVID and particularly focusing on the needs of our young people, Dr. Danny Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, as you know, the latest group to be authorized to receive the vaccine are among those who've missed and been missed the most, our children. We have a lot of hugs to catch up on. So as a pediatrician, I've had many conversations with patients, with families, with young people about vaccinations. We talk about their concerns, we talk about their questions. And I know this is an important decision because protecting our children is important. I want to assure young people, parents, and guardians that the Pfizer vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine that's now authorized for use in youth ages 12 to 17, is safe, it's effective, and it saves lives. Tens of thousands, as you mentioned, hundreds of thousands of young New Yorkers have now received the Pfizer vaccine. And by getting vaccinated, they're keeping their families, their loved ones, and their communities protected from the virus. On the other side of vaccination, kids can be kids again. They can hang out with friends. They can go to summer camp. They can visit grandparents and other family members, all safely. For Youth Vaccination Week, we're making it as easy as possible for the vaccine to be given, and because the priority of our young people is health and safety. We're also making it as easy as possible for youth, parents, and families to learn about why the vaccine is safe and effective. In all 5 boroughs, as you mentioned, the city is hosting block parties and resource fairs. At these events, doctors and public health professionals will be on hand to answer questions about the vaccines. There will also be family activities, food, music, and resources from city agencies and community-based organizations. We're also hosting 24 virtual events with health department doctors and leaders from community-based organizations, where adults and young people can learn more about the Pfizer vaccine and have their important questions answered. And we are promoting all of the sites throughout the city that carry and offer the Pfizer vaccine. These include new sites like the Brooklyn Museum, the Botanic Gardens, Rockaway Beach, Coney Island, Orchard Beach, and the Van Gogh exhibit on the Lower East Side. To find a vaccine site near you, go to nyc.gov/vaccinefinder, or you can call 877-VAX4-NYC to find a city-run site and arrange free round-trip transportation to a vaccine site. You can also reach out to your family's pediatrician or healthcare provider to see if they have the Pfizer vaccine and they can answer your questions about the vaccine for your child. Over the past year, so many young New Yorkers have been impacted by COVID-19, whether it's remote learning or missing their friends or their after-school activities, including sports. I urge parents and guardians to talk to your children about the COVID-19 vaccine and to discuss their questions and their concerns. And to young people, I urge you to learn about the COVID-19 vaccine and to share your story. Your voice is so powerful. We need your help to encourage your communities to get vaccinated too. Post your pictures, post your videos on social media, and talk about the COVID-19 vaccine with family and friends. The more New Yorkers who get vaccinated and protect one another, the closer we will be to moving on from this pandemic and getting back to the people and the activities that we love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stevens, and thank you for all you do for this city and sending a clear message to parents and kids. And by the way, the fact that parents and kids are showing up now, as they've been qualified to get vaccinated, they're showing up in great numbers. This is part of why we see an important uptick in the number of vaccinations in the city. So now we're 4.3 million New Yorkers have received at least one dose. That's more than half the population of the city has now received at least one dose. We know that pretty much everyone who gets a first dose follows through and gets a second. And we expect a lot more kids coming forward, a lot more parents coming forward. This is going to be crucial to our effort. Okay, let's go over today's indicators. Number one, daily number of people admitted to New York City hospitals for suspected COVID-19. Today's report, 66 patients, continues to go down. That's fantastic. Confirmed positivity, 15.38%. Hospitalization rate, 0.56 per 100,000. Again, continues to go down. Absolutely outstanding. Number two, new reported cases on a 7-day average. 240 cases today, another really good number. Number three, percentage of people testing positive citywide for COVID-19, same as yesterday, all-time low since testing began, 0.83% on a 7-day rolling average. So that's very good news. Okay, quickly in Spanish, just a few words on the importance of getting young people vaccinated. Las tasas de COVID están más bajas que nunca en la ciudad de Nueva York, y es porque las vacunas funcionan. Y ahora estamos haciendo que sea aún más fácil ponerse la vacuna, especialmente para nuestros niños. Vamos a llevar las vacunas directo a los niños, comenzando con 3 escuelas en el Bronx este viernes. With that, let's turn to our colleagues in the media. Please let me know the name and outlet of each journalist.
We'll now begin our Q&A. As a reminder, we're joined today by Dr. Danny Stevens, the Deputy Commissioner for Family and Child Health at DOHMH, by Dr. Dave Choksi, by Dr. Mitchell Katz, and by the Director of the Mayor's Office of Operations, Jeff Tom Tidekasem. First question today goes to Stacy from Fox 5.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Stacy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I want to start with a question about the attack on the Asian woman a few days ago. And we know, the suspect is under arrest, but has a long rap sheet. Commissioner Shea has spoken out about it and said, someone like him being back on the streets is putting New Yorkers at risk. I think he has 5 arrests this year. So I'm wondering, what does this say to you? Do we need to take another look at bail reform? More of these people who seem to have repeat violent offenses, committing more violent acts that are really is sending a lot of fear in certain communities in the city.
Stacy, there's a lot of different pieces of this equation we have to act on. I know our colleagues in Albany right now, for example, are focused on reforming our parole laws. This is really important. We get a lot of people who come out of prison and are simply dumped in New York City by the state of New York instead of getting help and support like housing or support getting employment or any kind of discharge planning that will actually help them turn their life around. That's the kind of change we need. We need to keep looking at laws to see how we can improve them unquestionably. But meanwhile, on the ground, the work we do with policing, our anti-hate crime task force, our anti-Asian hate crime task force in particular, has been very effective, including the use of undercover officers. The work we do with mental health, going out and engaging with mobile teams. We're going to have to do all of these approaches, Stacey, to make an impact. Go ahead.
You know, I understand the concept of the multi-pronged approach, but in a case like this and another incident, I believe, where a man who had multiple arrests, classified as emotionally disturbed person pushed a woman down the stairs. I mean, in these specific cases that are happening now, maybe the anti-Asian hate crimes task force couldn't do anything if this is just a random attack for someone that shouldn't be on the street. I mean, do you think that these people should be on the street? Should they be being released when they're picked up on these events?
Stacey, I've obviously talked about this a number of times. I think we have to keep working to always balance the equation. I think there are a lot of important changes that have been made in laws in the name of justice and fairness. We obviously always have to balance that with public safety. That's ongoing work. I don't think you pass a law and it's just there and done forever. You keep looking at the results, you keep working to make things better and make improvements. So we got to do that, but we also have to use all these other approaches.
The next is Juliet from 1010 Wins.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Mayor. How you doing?
Good, Juliet. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. So you were talking about bicycles and bike lanes. So I'm wondering, has any thought been given to a bicycle lane grid where there is a map so that cyclists can follow, that motorists can follow, pedestrians can follow, so that people know where the bike lanes are and that rules of the road are followed and enforced so that, you know, pedestrians and cyclists and motorists just know where each other is at and what's going on?
You know, Julia, it's a real interesting thought. I mean, I think what's happening now is more and more sort of a clear citywide approach, more and more protected bike lanes, more and more options for bicyclists. But I think you're making a good point. We got to keep evolving and helping everyone understand how to respect each other out there on the road and be safe. So I haven't heard that particular suggestion, but I think that's the right direction for sure. Go ahead, Juliet.
Okay, so yeah, just a thought, because I'm thinking of, you know, shared streets as far as lanes for bikes and lanes for cars, that if people know where they are, they know what to expect on that area. But anyway, my next question involves parades. You know, there was a Memorial Day parade on Staten Island this weekend. Are there plans to resume parades in New York City? And I'm thinking about, you know, some of the ethnic parades that are usually on in the summer, and then there's the West Indian parade on Labor Day weekend.
Great question. We're looking at that right now. Obviously, that parade in Staten Island is something people cherish, honoring those who we've lost serving our country. But it's much smaller than the kind of parades you're talking about that are major, you know, citywide events. We're looking at that now. I said a while ago, when we get to the point that we can bring parades back, it's something New Yorkers appreciate a lot, but the first parade will be one to honor our healthcare heroes, our first responders, our essential workers, all the people who saw us through the crisis. So we're looking at that right now to figure out what makes sense to do when. But the good news is we're getting safer every day, so it's reopening the possibility of having those kind of events again.
The next is Odalis Molina from Telemundo.
Yes, good morning, Mayor. More police presence have been allocated to the subway. However, we continue to see more attacks and incidents. What is the plan to make people feel safe?
The more parents choose to get their kids vaccinated.
The next is Ruvain from Hamondia.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good, Ruvain. How you been?
Good. Sorry for my voice is a little off. I'd like to ask you about a report in the Atlantic that says that earlier this year you convened a meeting of some of the city's most powerful unions to urge them to consolidate their endorsements behind Eric Adams, even though you haven't publicly endorsed Adams, for the sake of stopping Andrew Yang. Is this report true?
Look, Ruben, this was reported a long time ago. We had a meeting, several key labor leaders and me, about the future of the city, the future of working people and organized labor. We talked about a lot of things. It was convened to talk about what was important to do for the future. It was not convened for any specific purpose. Go ahead.
You're saying that you did not urge them to support Adams, but I do have to move on to my second question. There's a report in the New York Post that a director of the Bronx Defender's Office, which is funded by taxpayer money, sent an email from her work email address to colleagues about, quote, standing in solidarity with our comrades in Colombia, Brazil, and Palestine who are fighting rampant state violence by militarized police forces that the U.S. empire helps to train, otherwise support financially and otherwise, unquote. Is an employee of a taxpayer-funded office permitted to send political emails from their work emails to colleagues?
It's a fair question. We've been really clear about public employees not using public resources to express their political views and understanding how we have to respect each other's viewpoints. I don't know what the law is related to an organization like that that is, you're absolutely right, supported with taxpayer funding. But I will look at that for sure. I would just say people need to realize how important it is in the most diverse city in the world to respect everyone. And if someone is there to do a particular job, focus on that job and serve people. That's what they're there for.
The next is Andrew Siff from WNBC.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and everyone on the call. Mayor, later this morning, Congressman Lee Zeldin, who you know is running for governor, is going to demand that Governor Cuomo remove the mask order for children in schools. I'm wondering what you think about that in terms of immediately doing that and where things stand as of right now for how likely it is that kids returning in September would still have to wear masks.
Right now, we're assuming kids will be wearing masks. That could change depending on CDC guidance. And obviously the fight against COVID, which so far is going really, really well in this city, but we're going to keep that fight going. And my belief is the farther we go, the more freedom we're going to have. The more people get vaccinated, the more freedom we're going to have. But for now, the plan is to keep masks on kids, abundance of caution, and I think that's the right approach. Go ahead, Andrew.
Are you planning to watch the debate tonight, and what are you looking to hear?
Definitely going to watch the debate. I want to hear as much as possible from the candidates how they are going to move us forward after everything we've been through. I want to hear what about them makes them able to move this city forward in this incredibly sensitive time. And not just...
The DOT told us back in April that they were considering other options after Beryl pulled out. I'm just hoping to get a sense of where that stands with the city, those other options.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I know that's something we've got to come up with an alternative for. I don't have a perfect answer for you at the ready, but we will get you one today, Paul. Go ahead.
All right, thank you for that. And just regarding the school vaccine sites, the in-school vaccine sites, I'm hoping to get a better sense of where that's going to start and what the rollout is going to look like if you have specific sites.
On Friday, we're starting in the Bronx, and we're going to expand out across the 5 boroughs in the coming days. But specific sites, I want to emphasize, this is something we haven't done before, obviously, because kids didn't qualify. We're going to focus particularly on middle schools, where I think you're going to see a lot of parents wanting to see their kids vaccinated. And we're going to move to a number of schools. We are going to see if it makes sense to stay multiple days or one day. We're going to work this through because we have a few weeks to work with now before school is over. And our goal is to reach a lot of kids. And then we're going to keep doing that going forward into the summer because we're going to have potentially hundreds of thousands of kids in our new summer initiative. So this is a way of finding out the best approach and then applying it more broadly.
We have time for 2 more for today. The next is Nolan from the Post.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hey, Nolan, how you been?
I'm all right, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good, good.
To follow up on the questions about the man who attacked the woman in Chinatown, what does it say about our criminal justice system that a man can have been arrested a half dozen plus times in the past year and have a rap sheet with some 40 incidents on it and be released back into the general public pending his court date and his trial?
It says we have more work to do. Nolan, look, first of all, the most central problem has been not having our court system operating, because when the court system is operating, we see constant movement, we see decisions being made, we see consequences, it makes an impact. We haven't had that for over a year. We're starting to get that back now. But I think we have to keep looking constantly at the right approaches. We've got to keep people safe. We've got to do it fairly. We proved for years in this city you can do both at once. But I think there's more work to be done, and we need to keep reconsidering the best way to do it. Go ahead, Nolan.
On the larger issue of crime in the city, we've just gotten the recent shooting numbers for the month of May. There were some 150 shootings over the last month. This is levels last seen previously in 2007, and then the last time we touched the number was in 1997, when your former police commissioner was on his first tour of duty. You keep saying there's a plan to do something about this, and that the numbers will, and that the success of this plan will be borne out in those results. It's now June. We're at shooting levels that we haven't really seen in the last 20 years in the city. What do you say to people who are impatient for results?
I say to them exactly what I've been saying, and I'm absolutely convinced that we're going to turn this around. I have a lot of faith in the NYPD. We had 850 more officers join the force coming out of the academy last month, 600 coming this month. We have put the most police in the subways in 25 years. We have the court system finally, this is the second week only, it has been fully operational since over a year ago. It will take time to ramp up, but it's going to make an impact. The recovery itself is helping us to make people safer. The investments we're putting in communities, cure violence, crisis management system, all of these things are going to add up. But you don't turn around the results of a global pandemic and a whole dislocation of our society. You don't turn it around overnight, but we are going to turn it around.
Last question for today goes to Gersh from Streets Blog.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, and everyone on the call. I look forward to that ride on Ocean Parkway with you at some point.
You gotta be there, Gersh.
I'll be there. Listen, I know you were asked yesterday about Washington Square Park, but this is clearly an ongoing story about a major change in public space and how public space is policed in this city, especially in a park where you yourself called one of the most important ones in town. So policing of public space is the central issue of why people are, in a lot of ways, protesting police misconduct and brutality. So having the NYPD close at 10 p.m. in the summer, a critical public space, is a decision that needs more explanation. So first, can you tell me how you and the NYPD made this decision? And I need you to go beyond restating what you said yesterday, that it's a noise issue for a residential community, because as you well know, Washington Square Park has been a boisterous gathering place for far longer than even those current residents have been living there.
I didn't say it was just a noise issue. I think there's several different things happening that need to be addressed. And coming up with a proactive way of addressing it, making sure everyone is safe, not having a situation where we've got a bigger reality we have to address, but instead dealing with it up front makes sense at this moment. This is something we're doing now, Gersh. It's not necessarily something we're doing for the long term, obviously. But there's been a series of activities in the park that just aren't what should be happening in the park, and it's important to do something proactive about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it's funny you mentioned the activities in the park, and we were curious about that too. So we had our reporter, Chris Robbins, ask the NYPD for whether there had been arrests. Perhaps there's been a spike in arrests in the park, which would explain at least why the NYPD believes the park needs to be closed at 10 p.m. on Friday, summer weekday nights. But the NYPD did not provide any arrest numbers to us, so we're wondering if you could get that to us by the end of the day as well.
Sure. Well, we'll get you whatever the specific facts are. But the bottom line is to come up with strategies that respect a whole community, keep everyone safe, proactive, not reactive. Look, we've all gone through so much with COVID. We're coming out of it now because people have gone out and gotten vaccinated. New Yorkers have helped each other out. We want to move forward a positive, peaceful summer. We want to move forward an extraordinary recovery in this city. And we got to do that with smart approaches that really listen to communities, and that's what we're trying to do there and all over the city. So everyone, look, today, some really impressive good news, continuing to build our vaccination effort, continuing to drive down COVID. I will conclude with a simple message. If you haven't done it yet, particularly if you haven't made sure your kids are vaccinated yet, go out there, make that appointment, get vaccinated, help us move forward. Thank you, everybody.